I wasn't a huge reader as a kid. I was a very good student, always number one in my class, but I wasn't a big reader. My mother was a teacher, and I started reading like a madman. I worked my way through college at a mental hospital. I worked a lot of night shifts. This is up in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And most nights, it was just me. I'm awake from 11 to 7. That was the shift. There wasn't much to do most nights. And I started reading like crazy. It was all serious stuff. Gunter Grass and Tolstoy and a lot of plays. And that's where I found that I loved this stuff. And I started scribbling. And the models for me were things like Mr. Bridge and Mrs. Bridge, which are very, very tight, short chapters.
So there you are.
That's where it started for me.
On night shift in a mental hospital.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a great story just on its own. So the books are, looking through your books, we've got quite a lot of them in the office, as it turns out. And you do like the short chapter. A chapter in most books is, 2.5 pages would be a long chapter in one of your books. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, 2.5 pages wouldn't be a long chapter, but yes, we do the 2, 3, 4 pages. I don't know. Look, it's my style. I think it'd be a disaster if everybody wrote that way. But I have a unique style. I was on a panel one time in New York, and the other 4 writers took themselves pretty seriously. But the moderator said, you know what's interesting? Patterson's the only one of you guys that has a style that's unique. So it's my style. It's not for everybody, and it would be a disaster if everybody wrote that way. But it's the way I like to communicate. It's scenes. Michael Connolly, who's a very good mystery writer, he says what Jim does is he says every single chapter. I don't always succeed, but I try. Every single chapter moves both the characterization and the action forward, and turns on the movie projectors in our heads. And that's what I'm trying to do.
So they are scenes. In your mind, they're scenes.
Scenes.
Well, that's why they're that short.
They are. They're scenes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you think about what a scene in a play has to do, what a scene in a movie has to do, it has to serve plot, it has to serve character development, it has to hold our interest. Yeah. If you tick those 3 boxes, you're doing okay.
Yeah. And here we are, scene. We talk about and we decide, we start to plot on the air that we're going to kill the manager of the station. Okay. I'm interested in that.
I quite like the manager of the station.
I know. That's what's so curious, and that's what's so dramatic about our plot to kill him.
Okay,
on air.
How are we going to do it, James?
Well, that's chapter 2.
Okay.
If you're going to kill somebody off in the first chapter, which happens frequently, ideally what you want to do is you want to write that character as though it was the hero of your book. You want people so goddamn interested in it that when they die, it's like, you're kidding me. That character was so interesting. I can't believe that the author killed that character off, because I was really interested in that character. What he or she was going to do. And a lot of times, that murder victim, and same in television, you have not involved in the character at all. Somebody in jeopardy, they run up the stairs, they run to the roof. You don't know who the hell they are. You don't really care. And they get thrown off the roof, and you're like, okay, not good, not good. You got to invest me in that person running up the stairs. If that's what you're going to start with a murder. I need to be interested in that character. I hope you're enjoying my latest. What I've learned about writing bestsellers: make every page its own thriller. Everybody works so hard these days. You go to work, you raise your kids, and on top of that, you have to take care of your home. People need to relax to escape. People need to be entertained. I try to make sure that something exciting is always happening in my novels. In fact, if I'm not thrilled by the end of the page gets scrapped. Do what you love, no matter what. I had an English teacher in high school who told me to quit writing right then and there. My first novel, The Thomas Berriman Number, was turned down by 37 publishers. Then it won an Edgar Award. Millions of readers love my books and can't wait for the next one. I get to interact with millions of my fans on Facebook or meet them at readings. Knowing that my books make them happy makes me happy. I'm so glad I didn't give up writing because of one teacher's comment. And I didn't give up pushing my first book until it was accepted by a publisher. Today, I've got a job that I don't even really think of as a job. It's been an incredible ride, and the ride continues.